This is hilarious. Is it gonna clear? Good morning, beautiful person. Griever and I are hanging out. We're still kind of lagging. Our ping's pretty high. But no, for real, things are starting to level out. Today we're going to remove the rest of the suspension arms on the MR2. And then I think we have a lead on another set. And later today, we're going to strategize, kind of talk about the future and things that we're planning on doing. So yesterday we took out the lower control arm and the trailing rod. We're also gonna remove the tie rod end, and then we're gonna do that on the other side. We removed the paint, the tape. Yeah, I'm excited. It's one more step, you know, on recovery. You know, this thing was partying too hard, you know. It had a bender and got itself all messed up, and now it's on its road to recovery. So we've got the other side soaking right now. In a few minutes, we're just gonna take this off. So you see we only have this hammer, and so we've been using the hammer and the wood because the tie rod puller is too small to get this, but the hammer is kind of small, so it's not really working. I've discovered a plot device. Basically, we've been on, like, we have long bar on this bolt and it's not moving, and you can see here that it's, can you see that? How it's got a nick in it. That's from this piece being pushed so far up against it because it was over tightened. I think we're gonna use the car and our body to like press it down on it. So we got it out, and you can see how much different, see how bent it is? Yeah. So it seems like we do have the right size tie rod puller. I just had to get that canal, that little indent circle part, underneath there. And yeah, so we're gonna try to get this off now. Anticlimactic. Oh! Okay, success. You can see how this one's pretty bent and this one's straight, but the boots were blown out anyways. We destroyed this one actually when we removed it. I don't think it was blown out before. This one was probably fine. But interesting, I don't know if other cars are like this, but because the tie rod end is set up, the wheel can move a little bit like this in the rear because this has some give to it. It has this ball joint on it. So the wheel can move on it. I don't know. In the rear, you know? So, I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. It's pretty interesting. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. Big ham. Which ham? I was told to only buy tools when you need them. We got it off without the hammer. Welcome to my cartoon life. I'm BK, and today we're going to take a look at the progression of our AW11. Recently, we have taken apart the distributor and found that the seal was broken, so we ordered this leak kit. And when that gets in, we're going to go ahead and install it and see if our leak is fixed. Well, before that, likely we'll have to start diagnosing it starting. Last time we tried to start it, it didn't start properly. Just go through all the steps and figure out what exactly is wrong with it. So it might not just be a thing where, oh, we get the gasket, we put the distributor on, and then everything starts working. That's likely not what's going to happen. But once we get through that and we figure out why it's not starting and we solve that problem, then we can find out if our leak is fixed. If the car runs and drives, we're not going to worry about the compression numbers. We're just going to assume that the compression is low because of the leak. But if we detect anything like smoke or anything in the exhaust, we will go from there. Let's just take it one step at a time. I don't want to take apart the engine if we don't have to. That's ideally the steps there. We've got the distributor seal kit on the way, and then the next thing we kind of need is one of our control arms is bent. So not control arms, one of the trailing rods is bent, and this is the best supplier I found of AW11 parts, and I haven't been able to find it anywhere else like available. I've been speaking with them in DMs, MR2 Parts Warehouse, and they might have just the arm by itself, so we're gonna try to get that. If they don't, they'll tell us by tomorrow, so we'll purchase this tomorrow if we don't purchase the single arm by itself. Hopefully that makes sense. Along with the bent rod, we have 2 tie rods that are broken. This is a very common issue. We want to move to the upgraded version, so you can see the OEM has these 2 bolts here, and it's just a poor design, so this is a better design. It is a bit expensive. They're $175 for both, so that's each. And then we also need to purchase new ball joints for the rear knuckle. This repair is going to be around $350, including consumables. 2 should be pretty much ready to go, as far as like it should be base level drivable. Actually, that's not true at all. We could probably drive it after that, but we need to. There's a few bolts that we're missing, and I'll go over that at a later time, but we do need to source those bolts. They're pretty important. Yeah, I'm hoping that we make a decent amount of progress over the next few weeks, especially once we get the parts in. I'd like to see us, if the engine is running, like we fix the leak and all that, and there's not like major engine stuff we have to do, I would like to see us, starting and at least able to move the car under its own power sometime in early January. Like I said, unless there's some major engine problems, I think we should try to give ourselves like about 4 weeks to try to complete this. So from there, in the meantime, like while we're waiting on parts and stuff like that, we have our R3 that we're working towards getting titled. So it doesn't need a whole lot of work right now. I think all we really need is a few washers or some sort of spacer to make sure that we can get the shifter in a more sturdy position. We, as a side quest, would love to learn how to wheelie that, but we don't have a whole lot of time. Ideally, we can get it working, get it titled, use the Yaris to trailer it to the inspection, get it inspected, passed, then we can get the title. Then we can try to play around with it and try to wheelie it while we put it up to sell. And riding it and stuff like that will help us figure out any other issues that we come across, and we fix them along the way, so we have like a good bike to sell to whoever buys it. That should be the kind of end of the R3 saga. Likely we're going to use the money to get the Z into a running state, which it doesn't need a lot to do. We aren't going to be running it on the Speeduino. Instead, we're going to be running the AW11 on the Speeduino. We talked about that in our first vlog. If I do get to keep it, I kind of also want to like move it towards that state that it's going to be. So like if we do get to keep it, it's going to be just like a drift track car, you know, something that is only meant for a track, slanted towards drifting. So to get it running, we have a wiring harness that the current wiring harness in it is completely mangled and destroyed. So we would need to remove the wiring harness, put in the new one we have, and get it all wired up properly. After that, we would need to install some sort of dash gauge system, like maybe an aftermarket dash, and then a seat and a wheel. And then it should be pretty much done. I'm not exactly sure how far we're going to get on the Z project. That's the last thing on our concerns list. Like we might have a place for it to go and a person who wants to finish it, which would be awesome. But again, so that's kind of the plan. So if we can get it to a running state, then we can definitely sell it. And if not, we might have another home for it, or otherwise we have to move forward. So it's like I'm probably going to have to be out of here by March. So if we can be done with the R3 early January, as well as have the AW11 like early January, right, then we will have a full focus time to get the Z running by, you know, late February. That would be kind of like ideal. Once that is decided, then we can start moving forward with the AW11 on Speeduino conversations and how we're going to progress on that for going forward, because the car, we also want to manual swap it. We want to switch it over to Speeduino standalone ECU, which we can then go to coil unplug with some other way more expensive parts. So that's like I said, down the line. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of give a state of where we're going and like what we're planning on doing. We also got a laser pointer and an air filter for the Yaris. So thanks for hanging out with me today. We took out the lower control arms and trailing arms of the AW11, and we went over the state of After Earth Arcade and where we're progressing towards. Tomorrow we're going to focus on fixing the shift lever on the R3 and any other miscellaneous things that we see on it. We also need to increase our hours in driving so we can make sure we can afford the parts we need for our MR2. If you have any strategies on how to get unstuck, or maybe you've accomplished something really cool, please let us know. It's been fun, and I'll see you tomorrow.